ready, Danny. Really, you make, just text me. Okay, vamos.
Hey, welcome to today's web masterclass. I appreciate everybody hopping on today. We will get started shortly. Just going to wait a moment longer to get everybody a chance to get fully logged on. As we're waiting, any first timers today? Anyone, is this your first time attending our masterclass? All right, looks like we got a couple that are on here for the first time. Great. Um, so as we get started, I want this to be as interactive as possible. And so feel free to ask questions in the chat below, or you can see the Q&A section on the options bar at the bottom on Zoom as well. And so generally the flow of this is kind of what we're going to do is I like to go for the first half of the course to I'll dive into one of our specific tools in a little bit more detail. And then the second half, I want to actually solve a case together. So ideally, if someone has a case that they're working on or a client or a scenario or anything like that, if you want to plug that into the chat when we get to that point, we can actually use our tool to build out the case and see what we get together. And so that is going to be the general flow of things today. As we get started, what I'd like to do is I want to see who, as far as experience level on this. And so if you get a second, I'm going to launch this poll. And it is, what's your annuity sales experience? And so if you take a moment, please fill that out or answer that question. I want to see kind of who we have on the call. And then that'll give me a good idea of our audience. So it looks like we have a pretty good mix. Today it's tilted towards more experienced agents. So that's awesome. That's great. All right. I appreciate you taking a second to do that. Let's jump into this. And so I'm going to share my screen and then dive into our masterclass. And so for those of you that it's your first time, my name is Danny Copinga. I do a lot of the trainings over here at Annuities Genius. For those of you that are new to Annuities Genius, we are a annuity sales ecosystem. And so basically an end-to-end platform where you can, once you get a lead, do everything from pre-sales tool to questionnaires, suitability, product selection, recommendations, proposals, illustrations, and then ultimately to signing the deal. And so basically somewhere that you can live and manage the entire annuity process all in one software tool. All right, so what I want to go to today is I want to dive into one of our more popular calculators, which is our income rider calculator. And so I'll back up a little bit on how I get there. I log in. This is my dashboard. It has all the current cases that I'm currently working on. I'm going to click over to calculators. And on the income calculator, I'm going to select income rider calculator. Now, as far as calculators go, this is definitely our most popular calculator. And I'll run through kind of how to utilize it and different options as far as how it works. And so initially what it's going to do is it's going to pull over when I enter this in, it's going to pull over the current case that I'm working on, which is a couple out of Virginia. For just example's sake, we'll stick with this one. So it's a couple in Virginia. They have $600,000 that they're working with and of non-qualified funds. Up here, you can see on the left-hand side, as I'm setting up my filters, I can filter out different annuity options based off of income bonuses, premium bonuses, carrier ratings, all of that. For this one that we're going to do today, I'm not going to turn on any of these filters. If I come over in the middle now, you can see I have all the rider features, and so different riders that I can turn on and off change. I'll just keep those unselected for this example as well. We're going to solve for income. We're going to look at monthly withdrawal. Payout type, we'll start with joint. So in this case, it looks like Susan, who is the client, is 66 and her spouse is 67. And then last is the deferral time. And so pretty easy to use. I'm just going to slide. We'll say they want a 3-year deferral option. So I'm going to select that. So she starts taking income on these funds at 69 and the spouse at 70. And so pretty straightforward when I scroll down now, it's going to list out all the different products based off of highest guaranteed income rate and work its way down from there. You can see what if I select these, look like the initial ones are all global Atlantic options based off of this specific case. I can select and go through and compare different options as wanted. If I come over the product itself and I click on the action menu, I can jump right into the illustration. I can get the annuity info. I can download the brochure. Um, I can you can see all the different options that I have right here. I can look at payout rates, deferral snapshot, anything like that. So pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy about this. If I needed to remind it, let's say if I needed to remove the spouse, let's say we just want to look at single payout options, I'll just click on payout type female. It'll remove the spouse, and now those numbers will be adjusted as as you can see. Um, and then you can, it looks like we have 186 different options that are showing up on this. If I wanted to see a matrix, if I click on matrix, this basically, I'll generate an income matrix for this example. This is going to show a heat map showing the issue age, and then we'll wait for this to take a second to pop up on the I might narrow this down so it doesn't take too long. But it's basically a heat map that's going to show issue age to income based off of deferral time. And so obviously the longer you defer, the more the guaranteed income will increase. And you can see that visually right here um, in this example. But let me jump back and go to our list view. And we'll work from here. And so bear with me as this loads back up. Yes, so to answer your question, when you set up your Annuity Genius account for the first time, you're going to come up to your deck and you'll create a custom deck, which ultimately is a product shelf. And that'll you'll select the carriers that you're currently contracted with. So when you're building out your proposals, you're only going to see carriers that you can actually sell. Good question though. So this is pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy about this. You can see, pretty simple to use. Um, what I really liked about this tool is I can also solve for premium. And so let's say we have this same example. Um, we're working with this client, and we're having more of a comprehensive conversation, and we want to look at based off of the retirement conversation, we want to look at income needs. And so let's say, we know that they need $8,000 of income in retirement. They're planning on retiring, let's say in 3 years. And I know that they have $3,000 in Social Security they're planning on. They have $2,000 from a rental income property. And so between those two, they have $5,000 of income so far planned, and there's a $3,000 income gap that they're trying to solve for. That's what we're talking to annuities about. And so in this case, I'm going to solve for premium, and I'm going to say we need $3,000 of guaranteed income. That's our desired monthly income. And we'll draw that monthly payout type. We'll just say single payout type right now. And now if I scroll down, you can see the numbers have adjusted from the monthly income to how much they would need to put into a product to get them that guaranteed $3,000 a month. And so this is great because now you can have more detailed conversations with the client on, okay, we're solving for $3,000. You're basically kind of telling a story and you're putting together their retirement income puzzle, so to speak. And so now I can say, okay, great with this. It looks like with this product, if you put in 340,000 and change, that'll get you to your guaranteed $3,000 a month. And you can go through and kind of sort through all the different options as you can see. It's going to start with the least amount of premium needed and then work its way up from there. And so I can compare different products. If there's different features that I want to adjust or change, obviously I can filter those out. I'm just showing all products right now. I haven't done any filters. And it gives you a chance to have more detailed conversations now where it's like, okay, you know what? It sounds like 3 years is your plan, but maybe you really like your job and you want to work an additional year. How does that change your outlook? So if we work one more year and I look at age 70, instead of putting $340,000 into a product, I just need to put $313,000 into now. And that'll get us to our same target, $3,000 a month target. And so this allows you to have, more detailed conversations as well as paint a better picture on why the product is being recommended. And so now you're basically solving a problem and you're not just pitching a product. Um, I've seen advisors and agents that use this. They tend to get bigger deals closed because now they're basically showing, hey, here's a solution to a problem that we have. And instead of, just looking at a dollar amount, um, as far as that they're trying to work with. We're basically saying, hey, we need, this amount for retirement income. This is how we're going to get it. This basically solves that problem, and this is what we put into it. And so this is a great tool to kind of have those conversations when it comes to specific retirement income needs that you can easily pop up and sort through. Any questions on the retirement income calculator that we went through? Pause right there for a second. So again, we can solve for both monthly income, and then we can also solve for premium as well within this tool. Um, awesome. All right. No, looks like we don't have any questions thus far. Okay, yeah, good question. So how are you getting the monthly Social Security income? So I'm just assuming, I was just kind of spitballing, assuming that we had that conversation and that was just for demo's sake. So we could create a questionnaire and kind of go through that. We also have in this we have a retirement questionnaire that kind of goes through more detailed kind of breakdown. Has 25 questions actually that goes into detail on what their retirement income needs are, what they currently have, all of that. So I could have pulled it from there, but in this scenario, I was just pulling it from, a demo uh, situation. We don't have an embedded SSI calculator yet. Um, all right, let's transition over to the second piece of our masterclass. This is where it gets really fun, where we can actually solve a case together. So if anybody currently has a case they're working on or one that they can think of, or maybe a past case, if you want to throw in kind of the general details in the chat, that would be great, and we can actually solve it together. If not, no big deal. I have a couple that we can work with as well, if needs be. All right, looks like we're on the question. 1 year returns are shown under each carrier. Are those numbers coming from, and what are the cap rates that you vary carrier to carrier? So the rates that are coming from those, I believe I just had actual numbers turned on, not hypotheticals, and so those are going to be like past performance. Also, I had guaranteed mode, so those were the guaranteed rates that were showing. You can turn off the guaranteed mode as well if you wanted to just go with more of hypothetical numbers. So the numbers might be a little bit more inflated based off of kind of their projections. What I was showing was all based off of, at least the income amounts were all based off of what the actual guaranteed rate was that was built into that each individual product. All right, so I will just come up with, looks like we don't have any in the chat right now. Let me just go to Q&A, see if we have any questions that popped up in the Q&A. So the options that I was showing were all, those were all just level income. I did not have the increasing income option turned on. It was basically just level income. All right, let's solve a case together. I'm going to come here and I'm going to use our AI to solve this case. And I'm going to go to transcript, or I'll go to case brief, and we'll use, let's see which one this one is. So we'll use this, let's see if this is a good one. All right, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to say they have 7,000. Let's see. Whoops. Use a different one than this. Use a different case example. All right, so we'll use this one. So Susan and Mark Turner, 67, 60 from Arizona. They have 600,000 in a joint account and need immediate joint lifetime income. They want to compare payout rates from the top five carriers and prefer no market exposure. So we'll do this one. So this is our AI tool. This is just our case description where I can I could manually type in the case. I'll use this one for an example. So what it's going to do first when I create the client, it's going to throw them into the CRM piece. So I have their name, state, gender, age, spouse's name, age, funding source, so non-qualified. Um, let's just say this is qualified, for example, and I'll say this was $500,000 in a IRA rollover. We'll say their generate income is their primary goal, and there's no deferral time. They want immediate options. So it's going to take basically what I put in there. I'll go to create client. And now what it's going to do is this is our AI tool, and this just takes us to our prompt box. Now, if you used AI, basically you telling it what to do or giving it instructions is called a prompt. Now, we know that the level of experience and people that have used AI is going to differ greatly based off of, age and experience and all that. And so we've tried to make this as easy as possible where I can come in and I can just manually type in a prompt. We've also created a lot of pre-built prompts. As you can see, if I hover over them, if I go to more, they're organized by different topics as well. And so I can easily come in here and I can select a prompt. Now, in this case, this specific case that we're solving for right now, I don't need to create necessarily a questionnaire, gather more information, or create a script. I already kind of know what their goal is as far as immediate income. I know their deferral time, which is immediate. I know what they're working with dollar wise, what account. So I'm just going to make it easy, and I'm going to go to find best fit annuity, and I'm going to let the AI start building out the case for me. So what it's going to do is it will basically just analyze their situation, what we put in, and now it is going to start to build everything out right now. So initially, it may ask me any clarifying questions, and or it will start to, I'm going to say this is IRA rollover. And we will go income product structure. We'll go to the SPIA because they wanted immediate. And then for death benefit, we'll just go with life only. So you can see kind of the different options. So this is just clarifying questions that it's helping you do. And now it's going to start building everything out. So initially, it'll probably give me a couple different quotes that I can select from since I asked for the top five carrier comparison. And then I can narrow that down as well if I want to. So usually this takes about 30 seconds or so to do the initial comparison, and then another 30 seconds or so to actually build out the proposal. And so I'll wait for this to think. So kind of what's happening in the background is it's taking the details that we built into the case and it's going through and running kind of a quick analysis based off of what we put in. And then it will give me kind of those initial findings that I can then either do a full comparison of all of them or I can narrow it down. So it looks like initially it found four products that kind of fit those parameters. Looks like we have a Guardian, Penn Mutual, Athene, and a Integrity Life. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select two of them. So let's say that I'll remove. And as I'm going through these, when it's kind of showing me the initial quotes, I can click on details and it'll show me details of the product themselves or kind of why it made this recommendation. So let's say that I like this one, Guardian. I'll go with the first two just for, it looks like those are the highest guaranteed. So I'm going to exclude this one, and we'll just go with two for the proposal. So now I'm going to click on the proposal, and this will build out the actual proposal piece where it'll give me kind of a more detailed breakdown. Not just kind of a proposal with the numbers, but it'll give me kind of a why behind why it's making this recommendation in this as it generates this report. So as this is kind of rendering, you can see initially it has the goal kind of, it gives me an outline of what we're looking at. It's going to show kind of a graph on what their monthly income comparison between these two products. The product themselves are still rendering, but what it does is product one, this Guardian product, you can see it gives me kind of a highlight of the numbers and why it is kind of the primary recommendation. Option two, the Penn Mutual, highlights of the product itself. A side-by-side summary number was wise, so you can see they're pretty close on on most of these features based off of it's only what $12 difference on a monthly basis. If I scroll back down, how does this compare to against alternatives? This is a great feature that I like is at the end of the day, they're going to be doing something with that money. And so if we do like an apples to apples comparison with other investment vehicles, how does that look and how does it compare? And so, it gives me a 10-year treasury bond, 5-year CD, dividend stock portfolio, bond fund, and what those numbers look like and kind of the what you're getting at guarantees wise and market risk and everything like that. So key insight from those, the longevity math, what happens if you pass away? So just general questions that typically, FAQ that pop up pretty frequently that people may have, and then recommend a next step. So this is great because, again, like I mentioned, it's not just giving me the numbers like this. It's giving me kind of a more detailed breakdown on a good comparison. So at this point, I can download this and I could use this in my client presentation if I wanted to, and show this kind of give them this data, which is great. Um, if I needed to make adjustments, the cool thing about AI is this is just a draft. If there's something I don't like, or I wanted to reword something, or if they're like, hey, I saw, my brother-in-law, he has a Mass Mutual annuity. Can I compare that? I could just come in here and go to edit and then just type anything to the AI and say, hey, add XYZ or make change this, and it'll adjust it right there. So this isn't like a necessarily like I have to use this. This is just draft one. If there's something I want to make an adjustment to or change, I can easily do that. Um, and then I can download this PDF and take that and be ready to go to present us to the client pretty easily. Um, Now I can take it a step farther. So let's say, based off of our conversation, I knew that they had just heard annuities were really expensive, and so they are very, very fee sensitive when it comes to this conversation. And I knew that based off of, talking to them on the phone when we were gathering information. So what's cool about that is I can come over to our pre-built prompts and I can go over to overcoming objections and I can select fees are too high objection and I'll send that in. And then what this is going to do isn't just going to give me like a one-liner how to overcome objection when it comes to fees. This is actually going to break down the fees specifically on what we're paying for, how it compares to other products, and then bringing it back to kind of the value behind what you're getting from that fee. And so I'll wait for this to generate. And so what's awesome about Annuities Genius is obviously it does, builds out the proposals and gives me kind of the product recommendations, but it has a lot of sales enablement tools that help me basically do a lot more detail on building out on just generating better sales, call it ammunition as I'm generating this. So you can see it has kind of the fee breakdown of what we're getting between the product itself. Um, the net return versus common alternatives. So you can see kind of what we're getting at return wise. And then where does the extra yield come from? It basically kind of talks more about that. Ready to use script. So here's kind of a script, which is great. Objection, you can see. Um, and then, yeah, whoops, just scroll down a little too quick. Objections, my financial advisor says aren't worth it. You may be right, variable annuities, da 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 da. And then it basically has more information right there. And so this is awesome because it just gives you more kind of, prep or just good data to have for the scenario of, questions that might pop up. So that's kind of just one example. So basically, we've been working on this, I think, for approximately 10 minutes. And so you can see, if you've been, for those of you that have sold annuities for a while, we've taken, pretty regular case that pops up, built out a pretty good, structured a pretty good case, created a nice report, a lot of detail in the report with the product themselves. And then, if we needed any other follow-up with objections or anything else, we're good to go with that too. So we did this all in 10 minutes. So you can see, if you have lead capacity where you're doing a lot of leads and traditionally maybe you sent this to like a marketer to help you build it out, or you had an admin, or you're just doing it yourself. I mean, just to send an email to your marketer kind of describe the situation is probably going to take the same amount of time. And then you have to wait for it to get it back. And there might be kind of iterations going back and forth. So you can see how much faster you can work and how much more efficient you can do, and probably be a lot more thorough on understanding kind of the ins and outs of the product themselves as needed, as well as find, products that you may or may not be super familiar with. And that's, obviously that's great for the client because at the end of the day, we're trying to support them the best we can. And you can see how this kind of checks a lot of those boxes based off of what you're doing. And so, any questions with anything on that we've gone through so far? Building out the case, the AI tool, anything that you saw in the report, any of that data? Hmm. All right, it's easy group then, no questions. That's good. Good question. Yeah, you can voice command the AI. And so that's actually a feature I like because I'm not the greatest typer. And so if I want how that works is I would come right here and um, let's say that I wanted to say, I don't know, I'll say compare this report with a 3-year MIGA. MIGA. So I'm just going to update MIGA. Got to turn off the microphone before I start talking again. Yep. So long and short of it is yes, I can do that. So I basically now am going to speak in that prompt, dictate it, turn on the microphone, and then it will do that right there. And you can see now it's kind of doing its thing with that MIGA option. Good question though. Um, so yeah, hopefully you guys can kind of see the value behind that and the functionality with the AI and how that works. And again, this is just one pretty basic example. I can come in, and what's awesome about this is if I come into, I want to get custom instructions. I'm just going to stop this, but I can go in and there's a lot more. So those of you that are experienced, what I see a lot of experienced advisors and agents use this for is for like replacement or just do an analysis on like old annuities that you may have sold. What's awesome is I can come in to the dashboard and I can go to PDF and I can grab one of I can basically grab a statement of their old annuity in a PDF form and upload that, and then I can have the AI do an analysis, and then I can even look at like replacement opportunities where it'll basically go like a side-by-side analysis if there's a better product out there based off of just lower fees, better rate of return, higher guarantees, or whatever. Very easy to build a replacement case, and it takes you again the same amount of time with that. So, if you have not already signed up or checked out Annuities Genius, feel free to reach out to me directly. We do have a 14-day free trial. If you're already on Annuities Genius, you have questions, feel free to reach out to us as well. I'll plug in my information into here, my email and my office number. Um, and this is something that we do every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And so feel free to attend these as often as you'd like. Here's my email and then my office number. I'll throw that under there as well. Um, yeah, I would say if you haven't already used Annuity Genius, sign up, trial, go through the trial account, see, put it to use, see if it's valuable. And there's probably going to be something on there that you really like. But that is it for as far as time. I want to respect everybody's time for today. And so I appreciate for those of you that hopped on, hope to see you hop on next week or hear from you to get signed up on Annuities Genius. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you.